this module, we shall cover Linux basics. To get started, let's have a brief understanding on Linux. Linux basically is an operating system. Assuming you have a Dell computer or an HP computer or an Apple computer or a Lenovo computer which you just bought from a computer shop, before you can run your Microsoft Word, or you can watch movies, or you can browse the internet, you need to install what we call an operating system. So a Dell computer, you must install an operating system in it. An HP computer, you must install an operating system. An Apple computer, you must install an operating system. A Lenovo computer, you must install an operating system. What is this operating system? What is this OS? The operating system helps you to manage files. The operating system helps you to view files, view and edit. The operating system helps you to manage processes. The operating system helps you to manage users, to manage packages, and a whole lot. So these are the basic uses of an operating system. You can use an operating system to manage files, to manage or to view files, to manage processes, manage users, manage packages, and a whole lot. Now, what are the key distinguishing facts between operating systems? So as far as operating systems are concerned, we have operating systems that we can access using the graphic user interface, the GUI, and operating systems that we can access using the command line interface, the CLI. So the operating system that you can access using the graphic user interface, and those you can manage using the command line interface. The graphic user interface basically is more visual elements, while the command line is basically dark screen. Linux is a command line interface operating system. So for you to manage files, for you to manage users, for you to manage packages, for you to manage resources with Linux, you do that using the command line interface. So you manage all these files, users, packages, resources, and other things with the Linux operating system using the command line interface. The Linux operating system is open source, meaning you can actually get the source code and modify. So the Linux operating system is open source. You can get the source code and modify. And based on this, we have different Linux distributions. So on the AWS platform, we have the following Linux distributions. We have the canonical Amazon Linux. We have Ubuntu. We have Red Hat. we have Cent OS, and a host of other Linux distributions. So as far as AWS is concerned, you will see Amazon Linux instances, you will see Ubuntu instances, you will see Red Hat instances, and you will see CentOS instances. So all these are different Linux distributions on the AWS console. So for you to access the Linux operating system, you do that using the command line interface and a a remote access tool. This remote access tool could be your terminal, assuming you are using a MacBook, or you can use Git Bash. So more than often, we are going to access our Linux operating system. If you're using a MacBook, using your terminal, or you can use Git Bash to run commands. And also, you should understand the basic Linux commands. Based on our conversation, these are the various Linux distributions. We have the Red Hat, which is actually a Linux distribution. You can get a little bit of insight about Red Hat, and this is mostly used for Ansible. We also have Ubuntu, Canonical Ubuntu, which is also a distribution. You see, is actually enterprise for AWS, Microsoft Azure, AT&T, Go Cloud, and other companies. We also have CentOS, that is another commonly used Linux distributions that you always find in the DevOps environment. And lastly, we have Fedora, which is another Linux distributions which you can find on the console. In this module, we are going to provision a Linux virtual machine on AWS. And after provisioning this Linux virtual machine, we are going to access the virtual machine using terminal or Git. We are going to run essential Linux commands like manage users, manage files, manage packages, and so on. So these are the basic things which we are going to do in this module. Provision a Linux virtual machine on AWS, access the virtual machine using a terminal or Git. We run essential Linux commands. We see how we can manage users, manage files, manage packages, and manage other resources. So without wasting so much time, let's get into our AWS console and have an understanding of all these basic essential Linux commands.